Within the infinite complexity of gardening, there are three letters that tend to dominate discussions regarding plant and soil health: NPK. But do they deserve all the attention that they get, or are they part of a greater diversion tactic meant to distract you from real solutions to your garden's problems? In this video, we're going to take a look at one of the most riveting and enthralling subjects you tried to forget about from high school chemistry, the periodic table of elements. But don't worry, we're shaving off 100 of them, and we're going to make this as relevant and revelatory as possible so you can stop fiddling around with ratios and actually enjoy your garden this summer. So you probably know that those three numbers on the plant food package refer to the percentage of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium contained in the solution or granules. But did you know that those elements haven't always carried the significance that they do? Here's the 20-second history lesson that gets us caught up to today. 1850, German chemist Justus von Liebig performed the first soil test. Prior to that, people could just tell that plants grown in a field would leave that field depleted, but they thought that it was the humus that the plants were eating. Liebig suggested that it was actually the chemicals inside the humus that provided the plant with what it needed to grow. And he came up with a minimum amount of each element that was shortly after followed up with an optimum amount each plant needed to grow properly. Today, we recognize 18 essential nutrients for plants, and these are split into 2 or 3 categories of nutrients, depending on who you ask: micro, meso, and macronutrients. So why is it that we don't have fertilizers that contain all 18 of those nutrients? Why do they only seem to care about NPK? Well, the main reason is because the numbers simply wouldn't fit on the package. Just kidding. The real reason is because companies are legally required to tell you what percentage of their product is made out of N, P, and K. And specifically, they have to display those numbers on the front of the package. Back in the day, people were selling fertilizers that didn't really do much more than add dirt to your soil. So the guaranteed analysis label with the NPK ratio displayed on packages is a way to keep those companies honest, so to speak. Only thing is that this leads people to believe that NPK is the only important nutritional factor when it comes to soil and plant health. On the Scott's Miracle Grow website even, it says that, quote, complete plant foods have all 3 primary macronutrients, and balanced plant foods have an equal ratio of them. Now, what that doesn't say is that the other 15 nutrients aren't important, but it does leave an interesting impression. And the question still remains, what about those other 15 supposedly essential nutrients? The most charitable answer that I can give to that question is that nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are the nutrients that are required in the largest amounts by plants. Therefore, they're the ones that are most likely to run out fastest in the soil and need to be replaced. Plants require a lot of nitrogen to grow, and they're going to take a lot of nitrogen from the soil. For example, if you were to compare the amount of molybdenum that a plant needs to build its tissues to the amount of nitrogen that it needs, you'd be looking at around 1 part molybdenum and 1,000,000 parts nitrogen. But here's the thing. We talk about macronutrients and micronutrients. Macros are NPK, and then secondarily are magnesium, calcium, and sulfur. Micro or trace minerals are things like iron, manganese, boron, and certainly molybdenum. Just in case you didn't know, because I didn't always know, the prefixes macro and micro don't refer to the importance or the value of the nutrient. It just refers to the amount of the nutrient that the plant needs. Micronutrients are nutrients that a plant only needs a little bit of. It's not nutrients that plants can get away with having less of. It's not nutrients that the plant benefits from less. Micronutrients are essential nutrients, meaning that the plant needs them in specific amounts that happen to be smaller than the macros.